Hello everyone, Butterfly here, and welcome to a different kind of video. Today I'll be doing a discussion type video for, Marvel, or more accurately the MCU, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. So first I'm going to quickly, say here how exactly I'm gonna structure this video, and I'm also going to leave over here on the right, the timestamps for the different parts of the video. The timestamps for which part of the video is gonna be if you just want to check out that specific part of the video. So yeah, first I'm gonna be talking about my experiences with the MCU and which movies I've seen, because I've actually not seen that many of the Marvel movies. Then I'm going to do a bit of a mini review kind of thing of Infinity War, and then the third part is going to be the same for Endgame, but again, it's going to be more of a mini review type thing rather than an extensive proper review where I talk about the movie in full detail and so on. And then the last part is going to be some final words where, yeah, I'm just going to say some final thing and wrap up the video. So the first part being my experiences with the Marvel, cinematic universe with the MCU. So in fact, even though there are like 20 something movies or whatever, I think the number is 22 if I remember correctly. I've only seen 7 of them. Yeah, 7. The 7 I've seen are the 3 Iron Man movies, Avengers, the very first Avengers movie, the one with the Battle of New York, with Loki and whatnot attacking. Yeah. Also Ant-Man and Infinity War and Endgame. So yeah, I've only seen those 7. So yeah, it seems kind of odd going into, Infinity War and Endgame with just, 5 of the preceding films. But I did it, and it actually worked out quite fine because, well, the thing is, I've never actually been that big a Marvel fan and whatnot. I've never actually read the comics, and I've also uh, and yeah, I actually even wasn't aware of how there's actually a more expansive Marvel Cinematic Universe until I saw like 3 or 4 of those 5 movies I had seen before Infinity War. So yeah. The first time I saw a more Marvel movie was way back when I was a kid or something. I remember seeing the first Iron Man movie on TV, then the second Iron movie as well. The third Iron Man movie I actually watched at school with my classmates who we basically had like a single day in English where we decided to watch a movie instead because it was like the end of the school year or something. So we went into the school's own cinema kind of like thing, even though it's just a room with a bunch of chairs and a TV. But still, we went there and watched the Avengers movie there. And then later on, I saw Iron Man 3 in theaters, and the same goes for Ant-Man, but yeah, when I saw the first Iron Man movie, the second one, and Avengers, I didn't even know about this whole MCU thing that it existed. I only knew a little bit about it. I had only heard a little bit about it by the time I saw Iron Man 3, and then, sometime between seeing Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man, I had learned about the MCU, but I still wasn't that interested. But I decided to watch Ant-Man anyway because it seemed interesting. So yeah, and then I actually saw both Infinity War and Endgame last Saturday because the local theater here had a double feature. So yeah, I managed to watch both of them back to back, and yeah, actually, that's really what mostly got me to actually watch it because. Yeah, about a week or two ago, I was thinking about whether I should watch or shouldn't watch Endgame, because a lot of people were talking about it, and yeah, there was a lot of people talking about it, being hyped about it, just anticipating the moment it comes out. That yeah, a lot of people I saw, on Twitter and whatnot, just wanting to watch the hell out of this movie, and yeah, so I thought maybe, maybe I'm gonna watch through some videos on YouTube, the type of what you should know before and watching Endgame, those types of videos. But, you know, in the end, I still was only on the fence about watching it. But when I saw that there's apparently going to be a double feature, which, well, I'll be able to watch both Infinity War and Endgame, back to back, I decided to just, take it, watch it, and I came out the tail end a Marvel fan, so yeah. In other words, yeah, after seeing Infinity War and Endgame, I'm definitely a Marvel fan now, and I'm definitely gonna try to see if I can, watch the rest of the Marvel movies, and I'm obviously going to be watching future ones, and I'm also thinking I'm gonna be doing reviews of Marvel movies as they come out, also as I watch older ones. Because, for example, today I went ahead and bought Spider-Man Homecoming, so I'm planning on watching that and eventually making a review for that movie. And obviously, when Far From Home comes out, I'm obviously gonna be doing a review on that. But yeah, in other words, you can call this part of the video at least kind of like the story behind how I became a Marvel fan. I wasn't that big a fan at first, I had seen some of the movies. I was well, even though I wasn't that big a Marvel fan and hadn't seen that many of the movies, I was a definite Iron Man fan because yeah, definitely like Iron Man is definitely like my favorite superhero of all time, with the second place going to Spider-Man and the third place going to the Flash. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's gonna do it for the first part where, you know, I talk about my experiences about Marvel and whatnot. So, yeah, I can't think of anything else to talk about. So, yeah, let's just go into the second part of this, which is gonna be an Infinity War review. So, yeah, even though I doubt that there's been anyone who hasn't seen Infinity War already, I'm still gonna say spoilers and all, so yeah. So, anyway, Infinity War, I guess I didn't really know what to expect. Well, I didn't know too much of what to expect from that movie since I hadn't seen trailers and I had only been spoiled on a few things. Like I already knew about the Thanos snap and also about that one scene which apparently happened just after the snap. That one scene that's been memed to hell and back. Like, did you achieve your goals? Yes. What did it cost? Everything, that meme. But yeah, but I still managed to go into, Infinity War without that many spoilers, even though I saw it only last Saturday while, yeah. But yeah, well, I did watch at least a few of the videos, about of the type from what to know before watching Infinity War, like what you should know before watching Infinity War. Like I watched a few of those so that I have at least some form of background information because yeah, obviously, if I went in without knowing anything, or more accurately, knowing only whatever has been shown in five out of, like 20 movies. Yeah, but still, actually, those videos that I watched about, what you should see, what you should know before Infinity War were actually quite helpful and basically gave out enough information that you need to know without even maybe even spoiling the movies themselves. So in other words, they're still watchable, even though for me, even though I haven't actually, even though I know at least some things about each of the movies now. But yeah, regardless. Oh, and also this review is not really gonna be that extensive as I already said. But anyway, so Infinity War, I enjoyed it actually quite a bit. It was definitely enjoyable. I liked it, In retrospect, I found out that apparently, like, if you think about it, Infinity War was actually just, the Thanos movie, which was centered around him because we see him get developed more, we learn more about him and how he's not really, well, he's not evil. He's not evil for the sake of evil, His goal was to try to save the universe by killing the half of it. So yeah, he had good intentions, but his methods were terrible. Like seriously, it's just like we need to save the universe. How do we do it? Kill half of it. Of course, the obvious the obvious direction. But yeah, it was overall interesting. So anyway, before I could just go off on every single tangent possible, let's just talk about certain parts of the movie, a little bit more closely. That way, if I focus on certain scenes and whatnot, I might be able to actually, talk about it without going on some tangent or whatever. But anyway, so first, Thanos gathering the stones. That was, yeah, so first he got the space stone from Thor and Loki, which yeah, which was the very beginning of the movie, since apparently the movie that's just before Infinity War in the Marvel MCU timeline or whatever actually ended with Thanos' ship just intercepting Thor's ship. So yeah, in other words, this one just picked up right from there with Thanos just boarding Thor's ship and yeah, just wrecking everyone apart. He already had the Power Stone, so yeah, he just screwed everyone over, and then got Loki to give him the Space Stone. So that meant that he now had two stones after that, and obviously, of course, he destroyed the ship in the process, and yeah, then getting afterwards, the next stone he got was, I'm pretty sure, the reality stone from the collector, where he did that whole massive illusion using the reality stone, because he can do that apparently now. Seriously, these stones are overpowered. But yeah, so yeah, he got the reality stone, and in the process also managed to capture Gamora because yeah, Gamora and the rest of them didn't get there on time, and he was waiting there for the ambush. Then the fourth stone he got was, I think, the Soul Stone. Yeah, next he got the Soul Stone from that one planet where apparently he had to sacrifice something that he loves, which, well, initially Gamora thought that this is the very moment where Thanos' plans are completely screwed over because, at least in her eyes, and obviously she saw him as someone who isn't even capable of love because of everything that he does. But Turns out there was some love left within him for for his adopted daughter Gamora, and so he sacrificed her for the Soul Stone. Afterwards, he acquired the fifth one, the Time Stone, from Doctor Strange, which, yeah, that was overall quite the scene, quite the battle. Although it was mostly, a one-sided battle. Thanos, they didn't stand a chance against Thanos. So yeah, and in the end, just Doctor Strange willingly gave up the stone in order to sacrifice, in order to save Tony. So yeah, that was quite the thing, and yeah, and then last but not least, he got the sixth stone, the Mind Stone from Vision by just dropping onto the battlefield that was happening at Wakanda, which was, yeah, that was quite the battlefield, although, yeah, yeah, that was definitely quite the battle that happened until, Thanos just came in and just mopped everyone, the floor with everyone using the Infinity Stones and whatnot. And in the end, when we thought that, what's her face, the Scarlet Witch, I think her name was, when she finally decided to, do what Vision told her to do, and when she destroyed the Soul Stone, the Mind Stone, I meant. Yeah, that was quite the scene, but Thanos just used the Mind Stone to bring him back, which, yeah, that should have been an obvious result, although at the same time, neither one of them knew that. I don't think they knew that Thanos had already the Time Stone. I don't think so, but yeah, but still. So yeah, he brought Vision back and just took the Soul Stone and plopped it into his Infinity Gauntlet. Then Thor tried to kill him with Stormbreaker, but sadly yeah, he should have aimed for the head. Meme complete. But yeah, and then Thanos managed the big snap, which was quite the scene. Like, usually in superhero movies you'd expect the superheroes to win. But instead this time it was the villain that managed to achieve his goals and win, and yeah. And then we had that infamous scene with yeah, with Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good. Yeah, that was quite the scene, and even though that was probably the one thing that I was spoiled on the most, I still can say that I did feel emotion during that scene. So even though I was spoiled, I was definitely still feeling the feels. So yeah. But yeah, overall, the process of gathering the stones was quite the process. Just sacrifices along the way, Thanos kicking everyone's butt, and in the end winning, which is not exactly something you would expect from these movies. Since, although I guess I shouldn't be saying that because, again, I've only seen a total of 7 movies now, so yeah, I haven't seen all of them. So the villain winning was not necessarily something that can be yeah. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, that was the process itself of gathering the stones, which was quite the process. Then another thing I'd like to talk about is the characterization of Thanos as this guy who with his backstory and whatnot. First, with him on his own home planet, where it was once prosperous, their civilization was blooming, everything was perfect, fine, peace, everything nice. But then they noticed, the the resources on Thanos' home planet were yeah, they were running really low on resources, which yeah, and as a result, Thanos decided to instead to propose one of the most extreme possible solutions, which is to just kill off half the population of the planet. More accurately, kill off a random half of the population, so that way there isn't anything unfair about it. So, if someone died but someone else lived, it's not like that person unfairly died or that person unfairly lived. Instead, it was just, a random half of the population. But obviously, he got rejected, and then he had to end up watching his planet die out from, the lack of resources and whatnot. Which is why I guess he vowed to, to save the universe by not repeating the mistake of not being extra pushy with his endeavors and whatnot, which led him to, to then applying testing out that process on Gamora's home planet, which was yeah, killing off half of the population there, and in the process adopting Gamora as his daughter. So yeah, that was quite the scene, with him with that knife thing where on his finger, where he was like perfectly balanced, the way all things should be. Like you could definitely see that that was his goal. His goal was like a perfect balance and so on, and you can see that this is what he believes. That he believes that that saving the universe has to be done through killing half the universe, which is quite the counterintuitive thinking. But hey, I'm not some space super villain or whatever, or just whatever. So yeah. Then from there on, he went on to collect the Infinity Stones, which yeah, he took his time with it. I guess he really wanted to first find out, where every single stone is, and then, just get them all in one fell swoop instead of going for one now, then another one, and so on. But yeah, and then there was the scene, where he sacrificed Gamora for the Soul Stone, which showed that even though at least until that point he seemed like cold, uncaring, unloving, and so on, there was still apparently some kind of love left within him, even if, you still didn't, yeah. But yeah, overall, I really liked the characterization of Thanos and, how he was presented as a villain and whatnot with where he was the type of villain who in the end wasn't truly a true villain. He was more, I guess, along the sides of antagonist villain. So yeah, that was pretty enjoyable because while I do like my occasional evil guy for the sake of evil, seeing some more complex villains like Thanos was nice. It was enjoyable. But yeah. Then, as far as the other characters go, Thor was quite an enjoyable character, well, more or less. With him, especially the parts where he was with the Guardians of the Galaxy, his interactions with them, and yeah, just. And apparently he can speak Groot, which was a surprise. But a welcome one. But yeah. anything else. Then Iron Man was obviously cool throughout the entire movie. Like, as I said earlier, he is my favorite superhero of all time. But yeah, this was also my first encounter with with the with Marvel, with the Spider-Man from the MCU, because well, I haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming yet. I have seen like the trilogy from way back when, the I think it was the Sam Raimi trilogy or whatever, the one where when Spider-Man do, the one with the train scene, where Peter stopped the train and whatnot. Yeah, I've seen that trilogy, but I haven't seen Homecoming. So yeah, in other words, this was the first time I saw the Spider-Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yeah, he was an okay character. I'm not too sure because there wasn't too much of him in Infinity War, and in the end he kind of died. So yeah. Then about as far as other characters go, they were all pretty enjoyable as well, and yeah. Overall, I'd say the movie was pretty good, nothing as spectacular. I wouldn't exactly say that it's exactly on the levels of the hype that it was getting both before and after it first came out, but still, Infinity War was definitely an enjoyable movie, even if it wasn't necessarily one of the best I've seen, But yeah, so as far as the rating goes, I'd give it maybe hmm, either a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10, something like that. Somewhere between 9 and 9.5 out of 10, because yeah. Although it could be just that I didn't enjoy it as much because I hadn't actually seen the previous movies, so I didn't have that extra characterization for Thor, Hulk, Captain America, and the rest of them. But yeah, and obviously at the very end, the movie ended up with the post-credit scene where Nick Fury was paging Captain Marvel, trying to call her because he saw the effect of the Thanos snap around him. So yeah, but obviously since but yeah, so that'll do it for the Infinity War review. Next up, we have the Avengers Endgame. Okay, I think that was a bit too loud, but yeah, the Avengers Endgame review, which yeah, that now this one Endgame was definitely way, way, way more enjoyable than Infinity War. Like, if Infinity War is like here, Endgame is like here for me, like, or maybe here or something. Like, I definitely enjoyed the Endgame way more than Infinity War for a lot of reasons. Like, for example, if you've seen some of my Let's Play, I don't even do Let's Plays. If you've seen some of my reactions, specifically to Data Life and whatnot, Data Life, and you'll know that I kind of enjoy time travel a lot in my fiction. So yeah, seeing it happen was amazing, which definitely made me enjoy the movie even more than if they had chosen some other way to fix the situation, or at least, yeah. But yeah, also obviously endgame spoilers. If you haven't seen it, you should see it as soon as you can. I definitely recommend it. I'm going to immediately give my rating, which is 10 out of 10. Also, I should probably mention this, but don't take my ratings too seriously because, yeah, if you go to my anime list account to see how I've rated various anime, you'll see that it's easy to get me to like something. So, yeah. But anyway, so Endgame. That was an enjoyable movie. So in the first like few minutes or so, well, it first started off with Tony and fuck, I forgot her name. Nebula. Was her name Nebula or fuck? Anyway, the movie started with Tony and Gamora's adopted sister, because I don't remember her name. I wanna say it was Nebula, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I started with them, being stranded on 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 Thanos' home planet, where, yeah, obviously right after the snap, when Peter and Doctor Strange were both and basically everyone except those two were, dusted from the snap. So right after the snap, it started off there with them basically, I think, fixing the ship in order to, get out into space and try to reach home eventually, But but then the next thing we see is that apparently they've been out in space for a very long while, that they've run out of food and also water, or they were about to run out of water, if I remember correctly. Oxygen would also quickly run out, and so on. So, Tony was leaving a final message for in case he dies, and yeah, and hopefully the message would be found eventually. But then suddenly Captain Marvel appeared and, saved Tony. Yay! And obviously, obviously, as I mentioned at the first part of this video, I haven't seen Captain Marvel, so yeah, I don't know what happens in that movie, and so I don't know exactly at which part of the story that's set, whether it's, for example, a little bit before the snap, or if the movie starts off with Nick trying to contact her, obviously, like, or something, or yeah. I don't know anything about the Captain Marvel movie, so whatever. Anyway, moving on. So Captain Marvel got to Tony and then saved him and brought him back to Earth, where where it was the aftermath of the snap. So everyone, and we learned there that apparently Thanos had activated the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity Stones, a second time on some remote planet or whatever, where they found him, and apparently apparently Thanos had destroyed the Infinity Stones so that nobody could use them to stop him and whatnot, or to reverse his plans. So yeah, that was quite the thing, and it was immediately followed by Thor just killing off Thanos, which was, yeah, that was kind of quite the surprise, just. Although now that I think about it, with all the characterization that he got, I guess it was obvious that once he achieves his goals, Thanos wouldn't care anymore about the battle, and he just makes sure that nobody can use the Infinity Stones anymore by destroying them, and that's it. No more Infinity Stones. And that means that he doesn't need to fight anyone anymore, so yeah. So he didn't even need to resist them and whatnot, and so he quickly was just killed off. But yeah, it was also at that point that I just started thinking to myself, like, what the hell just happened, you know, like Thanos destroyed the stones, Thor killed him, and all of that within the first few minutes of the movie. So, what the hell was gonna happen in the rest of the movie? I just kept thinking to myself, is it just going to be a movie about, you know, maybe them finding some other way to save the situation, or maybe it would be a movie about, you know, them just accepting the things that happened and moving on, and maybe like the villain of the movie would be, I guess, if there is if there is a villain for the movie, there might be just like, you know, a single one-off villain, or maybe like a callback from the comics or something, who they could, you know, they could quickly deal with, and also, you know, move on from everything that happened. But then came the 5 year time skip, and I was confused even more on what would happen, because yeah, before watching the movie I hadn't seen any trailers, I hadn't seen any leaks or anything like that. So I had absolutely no knowledge on Endgame when I started watching it, you know. I went in completely blind into watching it, so yeah. So after that, you know, yeah. So yeah, the movie did a 5 year time skip to apparently Ant-Man being released from some, you know, from some van or whatever after a mouse or rat walked over some buttons. So yeah, that was quite the scene. You know, Scott was certainly, I guess, out of the van, although yeah, also as far as him goes, you know, as I said, I had seen Ant-Man, but I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, so I guess the things with that van was maybe something from that movie or whatever, with him being in, because yeah, after the rat went over some button, like a machine in that van activated, and out came Scott. So yeah. But anyway, apparently Scott was missing for that entire time since before even Infinity War, apparently, which yeah, resulting in him apparently being counted as another victim of the snap. And yeah, apparently the last 5 years were he wasn't even there for that, and so on. You know, about during the time when everything is just going to shit and whatnot. So yeah. And I finished off my water. Damn it. So yeah, apparently we find out later, you know, that apparently Ant-Man was in the quantum realm or something, where he apparently spent 5 hours, but due to how things work, apparently 5 hours there meant 5 years here, so which is how they basically introduced the concept of using time travel to save everyone. So yeah, yeah, getting some science fiction on the side of science. So yeah, well, I usually don't really like it when movies just throw the word quantum around all willy nilly. I guess this instance can be forgiven with the fact that, you know, they were, you know, turning themselves very small for the, in order to time travel. So I guess it can be forgiven, you know, in this instance, the use of quantum. But yeah, he tried to convince Tony, but yeah, Tony decided to refuse due to everything that had happened, you know. Which, yeah, understandably, like, you know, Tony deciding to just move on, and just stop being Iron Man, and even start his own family and whatnot. I guess that was understandable, so yeah. But still, Tony decided to create the to at least try to figure out the time travel, how it works and whatnot, and of course he did do it. He managed to figure out a way to time travel, which was pretty cool. And then he went to the Avengers HQ where they were trying to figure out how to work with the machine in the van, which that was quite the funny scene. Just God turning into like a kid, a baby, an old man. Just that was very funny. But yeah, in the end, they managed to. In the end, Stark introduced his own time travel technology, and yeah, they decided to go with that. Obviously, then they went around gathering people, and yeah, the highlight from that part is I've gotta say Thor, because all the obvious reasons. Noob Master 69 is clearly the ultimate next villain of the Avengers, obviously. That was silly, but also seeing Thor and how the events from Infinity War affected him was amazing. I really loved how it all affected him. He's lost everything now, like or like almost everything or so. He's lost his family, his friends, and half of his people also were dusted by the Thanos snap. And now he's been left a shell of his former self, just given to alcohol and depression and so on. And yeah, I really loved how this actually affected him so much, and like just overall seeing the lasting effects from Infinity War throughout at the beginning of Endgame. Was his face. I forgot him, but him just going around killing criminals, like in that scene in Japan, Then Thor, on the other hand, was just completely depressed. Tony had moved on and so on. Yeah, that was amazing to see. Just how it had actually affected them, instead of, them still being like, there's, them, everyone is, instead of everyone having hope for the future, everyone has just given and so on. And yeah, it was nice seeing how they were affected by the events of Infinity War. But yeah, and especially Thor, the way he was affected was probably like my favorite out of everyone. Just because yeah, as I said, he had given into depression. He would just got fat, became an alcoholic, drinks and drinks and drinks, and doesn't care about anything anymore, just doing everything to avoid the pain and so on. Even though, like, obviously the way to deal with depression is to confront it head on, and not run away from your problems. But obviously it's depression, you can't, like, running away is really the only thing you can do, unless you get help from others, and also eventually start wanting to get this help to to get past your depression and whatnot. But yeah, and yeah, even like after he, for example, even after he decided to join them, he still didn't really change his ways immediately. He still kept on being the same, depressed, and so on. So yeah, But yeah, that was just overall I really loved overall what they did with Thor in Endgame because yeah, I really loved seeing repercussions, actual repercussions, instead of just hey, yeah, he's okay now, you know. But yeah, so once they gathered the entire team, they decided to go to specific different time periods where they get the Infinity Stones, which was so if I remember correctly, Tony. Okay, so uh, Tony, Hulk, and Captain. You know what? I'm just gonna go with their superhero names because it's easier. So anyway, Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk went to the Battle of New York to get two stones from that time period. You know the Space Stone and the Time Stone. Also, no, three stones it was because yeah, space, time, and mind. No, no, yes, space, time, and mind stones. Then Thor and Rocket went to Asgard a year later to get the the Reality Stone, and then Nebula again, I think her name was, and the other guy whose face it, no, yeah, no. Anyway, whatever. They all went into the past, afterwards to get the stones. And then the scene with Hulk and that woman whose name I don't think her name was even stated, but the one who was possessing the time stone at the time explained to Hulk how more or less time travel apparently will work in there in Marvel and whatnot. But yeah, anyway, you know what? I'm just gonna go quickly with the highlights of. Yeah, I really should just be going by, talking about the highlights for, or at least what were the highlights for me, because, yeah, as I said, this won't be an extensive review, and this video has already gone on for way longer than it has to. But anyway, so, yeah, the highlights from the time travel bits were first, we had, the part where Hulk got the explanation on how time travel works. Another highlight was Captain America versus Captain America. Also, the whole gag of that's America's ass. That was hilarious. Then another highlight was Thor with his mother, continuing with the depression now. And like, now he had a chance, now that he was in the past, he had a chance to go ahead and speak with her and speak with her one last time, give his final goodbyes, and so on. And that was an extremely emotional scene, and especially at the end when he just called Mjolnir, and it came to him, and he, in the moment he realized that he's still worthy, was just. It was an amazing scene. I loved it. I loved it to bits. It was definitely one of my favorite scenes of the entirety of Endgame. Just yeah, overall, one of my favorite things about Endgame was the repercussions on Thor and how the events from Infinity War and also the movies from before that, just everything, how it accumulated and it finally, just after Infinity War, it just finally came out, and yeah, depression came over him. Just all of these repercussions were amazing, and I loved how they were, more or less, I loved how they were handled. Obviously, at some points, there were just, it did seem like some jokes were done, some scenes were done just for the sake of laughs, or at least it might seem that way, but more or less, but But still, I really loved what they did with Thor in this movie and whatnot. Although who knows, maybe they did something similar in his own three movies, in Thor or The Dark World or Ragnarok or yeah. But yeah, as I said, I just really loved what they did with him. Especially that scene in the past with his mother where just at the end when he realized that he's still worthy was just an amazing scene and I really, really loved it. Like it's definitely one of my favorite scenes of it all. But yeah. But other than that, oh yeah, another thing I liked about about them going to the past was from the past, was when uh when Iron Man and Ant-Man went even further into the past, into the 1970s, I think it was, to infiltrate some military base to get some more to get the space stone that way because they had kind of fucked up the mission by well, actually they were interrupted by Thor who was just coming down from the stairs, so yeah. But yeah, and then there was that scene between Tony and his father, which was, pretty nice. Yeah, it was definitely another enjoyable scene there. But yeah, and then I guess that really does it for the. Oh yeah, and also when they were in the past, there was also the part where Thanos found out that there was time traveling involved and whatnot, due to Nebula being apparently connected to her past self that way. Like, apparently, if there are two Nebulas existing at the same time, they have a sort of connection between them. So, yeah, that was bad. But at the same time, it led to the final part of the movie, which was amazing. And then, yeah, and then they came back, but yeah, obviously not everyone came back because what's her face? She sacrificed herself for the Soul Stone, which that was also another great moment where the two of in that planet or Vormir or whatever, I think it was Black Widow. I think no, no, or those two the two of them who went back into the past to get the Soul Stone. Them two, when they fought about on who should sacrifice themselves for the Soul Stone, just that was a great scene, or well, not necessarily great since they were basically fighting over who would kill themselves for the sake of the mission, but you get where I'm going. It was great that scene, both of them didn't want to let the other die and so on. In the end, she managed to, sacrifice herself, which, yeah, that was quite the thing. But yeah, and then eventually when everyone returned to the present, Tony went ahead and made a new Infinity Gauntlet, which was fashioned after his armor, probably made with the same stuff that Tony's own armor is made out of. And then he plopped uh, then he plopped the six Infinity Stones into it, and they were about to go into an argument about who should use them to bring back everyone. And in the end, it ended up being Hulk because he was basically the only one who could actually survive it, considering that Thanos had almost killed himself using the Infinity Stones before to when he killed half of the universe, and also afterwards when he used them to destroy them. So I yeah. So yeah, the Hulk used it to bring everyone back. So yeah, and then and that's about the time when the Thanos from the past came into the present in order to basically stop them from doing it. And I think also he had modified his plans a bit because oh wait, yeah, to stop them, and also use the Infinity Stones to recreate the entire universe the way he sees, the way he envisions it. Since yeah, if all he does is just kill half the universe, the other half isn't exactly going to be thankful about it and whatnot. And yeah, and the other half is just gonna be miserable. But if he goes ahead and recreates the universe, then yeah, then things are gonna be all fine and dandy and whatnot. But yeah, so yeah, and that's when the final battle ensued, which was an amazing battle. Like just I really loved it because of everything. Really just like there was this massive chase on who has the Infinity Gauntlet. On both sides trying to get the Infinity Gauntlet, or well, the new Infinity Gauntlet. Just moving between everyone, and yeah, that was great. Just well, let's see. The highlights of the battle were yes, one of the biggest highlights of this battle was with since Thor took the Mjolnir from the past into the present, he now he now had both Mjolnir he had both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. So yeah, it was pretty cool seeing him dual wield. Yeah, that was definitely amazing. And then when we saw just about Thanos was about to screw Thor over, we saw just we saw Captain America wielding the hammer, and Thor getting all excited about being all like, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. About Captain America being worthy of Mjolnir. So yeah, it was pretty cool seeing Captain America wield Mjolnir to fuck Thanos over, at least for a bit. And it was also fun seeing Thor fight against Thanos again, and yeah, especially now that he had finally, like, at least to some extent, moved on from what had happened and so on, and yeah, and started getting better. But yeah, and then another highlight was hmm, let's see. Well, I guess yeah, overall, just the battle overall was pretty great. Also, Scarlet Witch going off on the enemies. Oh yeah, also the moment when Doctor Strange brought everyone else over, since everyone came was returned and whatnot, with the I guess with the reverse snap, you know, which was just when everyone came in, and then you know Captain America just yelled out Avengers assemble, and it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. When everyone appeared, just definitely an amazing scene, and so on. And then yeah, and then another highlight of the battle was, well, the end of the battle. When Thanos finally got the Infinity Gauntlet, but then Doctor Strange looked at Iron Man. He looked at Tony, and he just lifted a single finger, like at that point, like just that was amazing, Who knew that, someone raising a single finger can be a source of so much hype, because it's like that's the point, like this is the one future he saw, like back in Infinity War, like when Doctor Strange looked into the future, saw 14,605 possibilities, and only one where they win. Like just the moment he lifted a single finger, you knew that that was like that he was saying that this is the one. This is the one future where they win. Like Doctor Strange has already like laid the groundwork by saving Tony's life, in other words, letting Thanos just get all the stones and snap everyone away except you for Tony and the rest of them. And because it had to be Tony who makes the new Infinity Gauntlet, because obviously, because after Doctor Strange showed him that one finger, and Tony realized that this is the one future where they win. Like we saw Tony just go straight to Thanos, and try to take the Infinity Gauntlet from him, but obviously he was unsuccessful. But in reality, he had actually managed to snatch the Infinity Stones. And while at first glance it doesn't really seem like he should have been able to grab all six of them like so quickly, if you think about it, like it actually makes sense, because as he even said in Infinity War and whatnot, apparently his suit now uses nanobots or whatever to just materialize, so to speak, like so that he can call upon it whenever he wants. For example, back in Infinity War, he had when the Earth was first attacked in Infinity War, when he was just in his regular clothing, and when he called his armor, he just started just materializing, from so to speak, from his reactor core thing. So and obviously, and if you look at the Infinity Gauntlet, it looked like it was made from the same stuff that Tony's Iron Man suit is made of. So obviously he probably just all he had to do was snatch the stones that way, by touching the gauntlet and letting the nanobots do the rest of the work, which that's still supported more by Tony just showing his I think it was his right arm, right arm like this, and then from here the Infinity Stones go into place, like they appear and then go up and take their places on Tony's hand. So yeah, in other words, that's why it had to be Tony who creates the gauntlet, so that he can snatch it away so he can snatch away the stones from Thanos and so on. And then in the end, Iron Man, Tony, he made the final sacrifice, and in the most epic way possible. First, when Thanos tried to use the gauntlet that didn't have the stones anymore, like he was like. And I'm back from the interruption. So, yeah, it's been quite a few days since I recorded the previous part of the video, but yeah, so if you're wondering why I'm sitting like this under this angle and whatnot, that would be because right after this I'm going to record my reaction to the Far From Home trailer. So yeah, but anyway, before getting interrupted, I was just getting to the tail end of the Infinity Gauntlet Mark II chase, with Thanos had just gotten it, and Doctor Strange had lifted up a single finger to indicate to Tony that they had finally gotten the true ending. They had finally fulfilled all the requirements for the true ending, and yeah, so yeah, Tony had launched to Thanos. Thanos pushed him back. Then Thanos did his snap with by saying that I'm inevitable, his line. And then, the gauntlet didn't work because Tony had taken the stones. And so, and then he did one of the most awesome scenes I've ever seen, he just said, I am Iron Man, and just snapped his fingers to just snap away Thanos and his entire army. And that was one of the best scenes ever. Although I'm pretty sure, like, even before the interruption, I was talking about how that was, like, an amazing scene and I loved it and whatnot. But yeah. Okay, seriously, it's so hot in this room right now, but anyway. But yeah, so yeah, that was definitely an amazing scene. I simply loved it, and I loved the callback to the end of the first Iron Man movie where, Tony was like, I am Iron Man, just revealing it to the entire world instead of going the usual route of, a superhero with a secret identity. Instead, it's like, I am Iron Man, just. And then the callback in Endgame was simply amazing. But yeah, obviously Thanos and his entire army as a result got, snapped away, dusted, just like, yeah. And then, yeah, and then, we got Tony Stark's death, which was, yeah, just, seeing Peter just go to him and everyone else, and yeah, that was quite the thing, yeah. But yeah, and then let's see. But yeah, overall, the scene was amazing, and then it was the scene with Tony dying was sad as you'd expect. But yeah, and then the last part of the movie, the funeral, which was that was very emotional. I definitely cried during that scene. But yeah, the funeral was simply emotional. Everyone was there. Also, there was that thing, like proof that that Tony Stark has a heart. That thing there that just everything about that scene was extremely emotional, and I definitely cried during it. Just remembering everything since even though I haven't seen all I've barely seen many Marvel movies. I've only seen like, well, with Infinity War and Endgame, a total of 7 movies, but out of them 3 of them are the Iron Man movies, so there was that connection necessary to make me cry during the funeral, although I probably would have cried anyway. But I'm still glad that at least I've seen the 3 Iron Man movies to have that connection with the character. And yeah, it was definitely emotional, and I definitely cried. And yeah, and then afterwards, Captain America, he went back to the past to return the stones and Thor's hammer. And yeah, and then we see that apparently he decided to stay in the past to, to live out his life with Peggy the way he couldn't in this, he couldn't this time around. And yeah, and then we see an old Captain America, or well, no longer Captain America, I guess. I think his real name was Raj. You know what? This time around, I've got my laptop here turned on, so I'm just gonna quickly look up his name. Okay. I think his name was. I think his name was Steve Rogers, but I'm not 100% sure. Captain America. Okay. Yeah, Steve Rogers. We see an old Steve. Sitting on a bench after having spent his whole life with Peggy and whatnot, and I guess apparently it was confirmed by the source that apparently he stayed in the past, lived out his life until Peggy died or something, and then jumped back to this time. So yeah, but yeah, and then we see him pass on the shield, and that was also quite the emotional scene, and I definitely liked it as well. And yeah, I guess no more Captain America in future movies. But yeah. So anyway, overall, Endgame was an amazing movie. I really loved watching it, and definitely it definitely made me an actual, it made me a Marvel fan, and I definitely want to see the other movies and also see the movies that are upcoming, to watch them in the future, Spider-Man Far From Home, the next one, and the other ones that will come out after that, and so on. But yeah, I'm definitely a Marvel fan right now after seeing those movies. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, as I said, overall Endgame was an amazing movie, and as far as a rating, I give it a 10 out of 10. Definitely. But yeah. Anyway, so that's it for the Endgame review. Now time for the final part of this video, the fourth part, the final words section. So first I'm gonna drink some water. So final words, well, I huh I spent quite a bit of time, in these past few days thinking of how I'm going to end the review of, Endgame, and then how I'm gonna go through the final words section, and now I've got nothing. Huh. Well, that's awkward. Hmm. Well, let's see. I definitely enjoyed both Infinity War and Endgame when I saw them, and yeah, also, well, I guess I should just wind down the video or something now, because yeah, after I got interrupted, I saw the length of the previous section, which is a full hour, over an hour long, which I originally expected it to be like 20, maybe 25 minutes, at most 30 minutes. I didn't expect that it would be, an entire hour where I just talk and talk and talk. Which is why, even though my original plan was for this to be a discussion video with two mini reviews, I think I'm gonna have to name this video a discussion and review, because yeah, it turned out way longer than I expected, I thought I wouldn't talk about Infinity War and Endgame as much as I did, and yeah, definitely I should probably, yeah, I'm definitely going to name this video a discussion and review. But anyway, yeah, just, yeah, well, I guess I'm just gonna wind down this video. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to when exactly this video is gonna come out, but either about, yeah, no, probably tomorrow from this video's point of view, from when this comes out, I'll have a trailer, also the reactions to some Far From Home trailer is ready, so yeah, expect that tomorrow. And yeah, afterwards, the day after tomorrow, expect things to, well, to kind of go back more or less to, the usual reactions and whatnot. But hmm, yeah, I definitely got nothing for this last part, so yeah, I guess yeah, thank you all very much for watching this extremely long video. Like, if you watch this full video, then yeah, then you're awesome, because yeah, it's over an hour long and it's just me talking, and I'm aware that I don't talk as clearly as I should try to talk. But yeah. Anyway, like, if you watched this far into the video, like the entire video this far, then awesome. If you didn't, then sure, you didn't watch the video. Okay. I don't know. Anyways, thank you all for watching this extremely long video. You know, yeah, leave if you would like to, if you want to discuss something relating to, Marvel or Avengers or something else, like that. This video is supposed to be a discussion, so if you want to discuss something, you can leave your comments in the comment section if you'd like to. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, until next time, bye.